Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech, ready for another deep dive into the world of tech and gadgets. Today, we're unpacking three big stories that are really making waves. First, we're going to look at T-Mobile and their crazy success lately.
Wow.
Then we'll switch gears and look at Tesla and unpack some of the challenges they're facing. And finally, we're ending with something that sounds straight out of a movie, a group, including Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast!
Yeah, Mr. Beast is trying to buy a major social media platform to make it safer. Pretty wild stuff.
You're right. It is a wild ride in tech, that's for sure. One company's soaring, another's hitting some headwinds, and then, these crazy twists that could change everything.
All right, so first up, T-Mobile. You've seen their latest reports, haven't you? Strongest year ever, exceeding expectations in Q4 2024. What's going on? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it's pretty interesting because T-Mobile is actually thriving while other telecom giants are struggling. They're attracting new customers like crazy, both in big cities and those rural areas that have been kind of neglected,
Yeah, and they're not just getting new customers, they're keeping them happy too. Their average revenue per user is going up, and that's not from price hikes. It's because people are choosing those higher tier plans. Shows they see value, What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right. T-Mobile's really connecting with people. They've invested a ton in their network and are winning awards for speed and reliability. And their partnership with Starlink, that's a game changer.
Oh, yeah, the satellite internet thing. Bringing internet to remote areas through satellites is really a logistical nightmare, isn't it?
It's complex for sure, but they've recognized that demand for data is just exploding, especially with AI and all these data-heavy technologies taking off. Partnering with Starlink lets them reach places where traditional networks struggle.
Makes sense.
It positions them as a leader in this race for, total connectivity. And they're doing some cool things with their app and personalized services, too. Creating a seamless and positive customer experience, that's crucial for long-term success these days.
So T-Mobile's doing great. But let's talk about Tesla. Not everything's been so rosy for them, has it? They're dealing with declining sales in some areas, more competition from other electric car makers, and, there's some concern about Elon Musk's focus these days.
Yeah, Tesla's definitely at a crossroads. They're still a big player in the electric vehicle market, but they're facing challenges. Investors are getting nervous, wondering if Tesla's stock price is realistic, especially with Musk having his hands in so many different things,
It's a valid concern, right? Musk being involved in politics and other companies raises questions about where his priorities are. And his public statements, sometimes controversial, can impact the Tesla brand, which worries investors. What are your thoughts on the investor concerns about Tesla?
Well, some are worried Musk is spreading himself too thin. They wonder if his focus is divided and if that's affecting Tesla's ability to innovate. And his public image, while attention-grabbing, could also turn off potential customers and investors.
Yeah, that's tricky. What about Tesla's self-driving technology and AI investments? Could those be their saving grace? Those are some of the most exciting areas in tech right now.
Self-driving and AI could be game changers for Tesla, but the competition is intense. They'll need to execute perfectly and stay ahead of the curve to keep their edge. Plus, there's a lot of uncertainty around the regulations for self-driving cars and, of course, the ethical considerations.
Right. Self-driving cars raise all sorts of ethical dilemmas, like how they'll make decisions in tough situations. And there are also concerns about Tesla's treatment of employees and how that might affect their image, right? Consumers are paying more attention to ethical business practices now. Do you think that's a factor here?
For sure. In today's world where consumers are more conscious of social responsibility, a company's reputation is everything. Tesla's had some scrutiny over their workplace culture, and that can absolutely impact their brand image.
Okay, so Tesla's in a mixed bag. Lots of potential, but also some big hurdles. But let's move on to our last story for today. And this one is a real head-scratcher. A group of people, including Mr. Beast, the YouTube guy knows her crazy stunts in philanthropy. They're actually trying to buy a major social media platform. And get this, their goal is to make it safer. That sounds almost impossible, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely ambitious, but it shows the growing concerns about data privacy, kids' online safety, and social media's overall influence, right? People are starting to question things and demand change, and this biz seems to be riding that wave.
And it's not just Mr. Beast. There's a really diverse group behind it, environmentalists, founders, tech CEOs. It's a pretty unique mix. What do you make of that?
It's an interesting mix for sure, and that's what makes this bid so fascinating. It's not just about money or market share, it's about shared concern for where social media is headed and how it impacts us. They're bringing together all these different perspectives and experiences, which could be really powerful.
Yeah, and they're not messing around. They're talking about tens of billions of dollars in funding. This is serious business. What do you think? Any chance they can pull this off?
It's hard to say. It's totally uncharted territory, and there will be huge challenges. But the fact that such a diverse and influential group of people are backing it definitely gives it some weight. We'll be watching closely, for sure.
I agree. This story could have huge implications for the internet. It's almost like a David versus Goliath situation, wouldn't you say?
Totally. You've got this group with a shared vision going up against these giants of social media. It'll be fascinating to see what happens.
Okay, so we've got T-Mobile crushing it, Tesla with some work to do, and this wild bid to change social media. The tech world never slows down, does it?
Yeah.
But before we move on, let's dig a bit deeper into the social media bid. You said they want to make the platform safer. What does that actually mean? What are some of the changes they're suggesting?
That's a good question. This group wants a more ethical and transparent approach to social media. They're talking about things like stronger data privacy, better content moderation to fight misinformation and hate speech, and algorithms that focus on user well-being instead of just engagement. They want a platform that encourages healthy interactions and protects vulnerable users, especially kids.
So it's about shifting focus from profits and engagement to building a more responsible online world.
Exactly. They're challenging the way social media works now, which often prioritizes engagement and ad revenue over how users are doing. It's a bold vision, and it's resonating with a lot of people worried about social media's negative side.
It sounds like a complete change. But how do they plan to do all this? What are some concrete steps they're suggesting?
One key thing is giving users more control over their data. They want strong privacy settings so users can choose how their data is collected, used, and shared. And they're talking about more transparent algorithms that users can actually understand and check.
Yeah, that's a big issue now, the lack of transparency with these algorithms. People feel like they're being manipulated.
Exactly. This group wants to bring those forces out into the open. They believe users should have a say in how these algorithms are designed. And they want to involve experts in ethics, psychology, and child development to make sure the platform prioritizes users' well-being.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about bringing in different perspectives to build a more humane online space. You're an expert in AI and data security, so I'm curious, are these proposals even possible? Are they realistic?
Technologically, yeah, many of their ideas are doable. We have the tools to build more privacy-focused platforms with transparent algorithms. The challenge is changing the mindset of the tech industry and convincing investors that this can be a successful business model.
Right, because social media now relies so much on data collection and targeted ads. This group is basically proposing a whole new way of doing things.
Exactly. That's why this bid is so disruptive. It's not just about tweaking the current system, it's about reimagining what social media could be.
It's a bold vision, that's for sure. But it also raises a lot of questions. If they actually succeed, what would it mean for the rest of the tech industry? Could this be the start of a bigger movement towards more ethical technology?
That's the big question, isn't it? If this bid works, it could have a huge impact on the tech world. It could inspire other companies to prioritize ethics and user well-being. It might even lead to changes in laws and policies that govern tech.
So this is bigger than just buying a social media platform. It's about the future of technology and its role in our lives.
Oh, absolutely. It's a story with the potential to change how we think about technology and its relationship to society.
It's definitely intriguing. We'll be following this one closely to see how it unfolds. But before we wrap up for today, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something a little less, well, world-changing. You've been keeping up with what's happening in AI, besides the whole self-driving cars thing.
Of course. AI is one of the most dynamic and exciting areas of tech right now. What's caught your eye?
I was reading about this company called DeepSeek. They're developing AI systems that are getting amazing results, even though they're pretty small, going up against these industry giants. How do they even compete with the big companies that have all the resources?
DeepSeek. Yeah, they're a fascinating case study. What's remarkable is that they're reaching these high levels of performance with less computing power and resources than their competitors.
That's what impressed me. It seems like they're doing more with less. How are they pulling that off? What's their secret?
It comes down to their approach to AI development. While a lot of companies focus on just raw computing power, DeepSeek focuses on efficiency and logic. They're not just throwing more hardware at the problem, they're designing smarter algorithms and being more strategic.
So it's not about bigger is better, it's about working smarter.
Exactly. And this approach isn't just more efficient, it also helps with data security, a huge concern in AI.
Oh, right. Because if you need less data to train your AI, there's less data to be compromised. Win-win.
Exactly. DeepSeek's approach reduces the amount of data needed, which lowers the risk of breaches and leaks. That's a big deal now, with data privacy being so important.
Sounds like DeepSeek's onto something.
Yeah.
But how are they managing to compete with those big companies with all the resources?
Well, they've been smart about partnerships. They've teamed up with G42, a leading AI company in the UAE.
Interesting. So they're using global collaborations to get ahead. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Exactly. This partnership's particularly important because the UAE is a big player in tech and a key ally of the US. It's good for everyone.
I see. So DeepSeek is this small company with big dreams, and they're using smart partnerships and innovative technology to make a splash in AI. It's a pretty inspiring story.
It is. It shows you don't need to be a huge corporation to make a real impact in tech. Sometimes all you need is a good idea, a dedicated team, and the guts to challenge how things are done.
I like that. It's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere. And speaking of innovation, let's circle back to that social media bid for a second. One thing that stood out to me was their focus on ethical technology and data security.
Yeah, that's a big theme emerging across the tech world. As technology gets more powerful and integrated into our lives, people are starting to demand more accountability and transparency from the companies controlling it.
It makes sense. We're trusting these companies with so much of our personal information and our online lives. We want to make sure that information is being handled responsibly.
Right. And there's this growing movement towards what's called ethical tech, where companies are putting values like privacy, fairness, and social responsibility first in their design and development.
So it's not just about building cool gadgets and making money anymore. It's about considering the impact of technology on society as a whole.
Precisely. And this shift is being driven by several factors, including growing awareness of data privacy issues, concerns about misinformation online, and a desire for technology that's more human-centered.
It's almost like a tech awakening. People are realizing that technology isn't neutral. It can be used for good or bad, and we need to be mindful of its impact on our lives and communities.
I think that's a great way to put it. The choices we make today about how we develop and use technology will have a huge impact on our future.
Okay, so we've got T-Mobile killing it, Tesla navigating some rough waters, a potential social media shakeup, and this rise of ethical tech. Sounds like the next few years in tech are going to be pretty wild. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by all this change.
It's definitely a lot to take in. We're living in a time of crazy technological change, and it's both exciting and a little scary.
I agree. But hey, that's what makes it so interesting to talk about, right? Who knows what the next big breakthrough will be or what challenges we'll face?
That's the beauty of it. The future of tech is an open book, and we're all writing it together.
Well said. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of part 1 of our deep dive. You've been listening to Byte-Sized Tech, where we break down the latest in technology and gadgets in a way that's both informative and fun. We'll be back in a flash with part 2, so don't go anywhere.
And we're back for part 2 of our Byte-Sized Tech deep dive. Been quite a ride so far, huh?
It has. We've been exploring some fascinating trends in the tech world, from T-Mobile's amazing growth to that quest for a safer social media. Oh, and of course, we can't forget DeepSeek, that underdog company making waves in AI with their efficient and data-secure approach.
Yeah, DeepSeek is a great example of how innovation can come from anywhere. They're proving that you don't have to be a massive corporation with tons of resources to have a real impact. It's about vision, a good team, and being willing to challenge the way things are usually done.
Their story shows how important it is to think outside the box, especially in an industry as competitive as tech. It's not about throwing money at a problem. It's about finding creative solutions and building smart partnerships.
Absolutely. And DeepSeek's partnership with G42, that leading AI company in the UAE, is a perfect example of that. They're leveraging global collaborations to compete and reach new markets.
You know, when you think about it, T-Mobile's success is also largely because of their strategic partnerships, like the one with Starlink. They're not afraid to team up with other companies to reach their goals. Seems like collaboration is becoming more and more important in tech.
You're spot on. In today's world, it's getting harder for companies to do everything themselves. Partnerships allow them to combine resources, share knowledge, and expand their reach. It's a win-win for everyone involved, especially the consumers who benefit from these collaborations.
Speaking of consumers, it's important to acknowledge that consumers are becoming more aware of and concerned about ethical issues in tech. We talked about Tesla facing some heat over their workplace practices, and that social media bid was all about wanting a safer and more ethical online experience.
Definitely a trend that's picking up speed. Consumers are getting more careful about the companies they support and the products they buy. They're demanding more transparency, accountability, and ethical practices from the tech world.
And it's not just about ethics. Consumers are getting smarter about technology. They're not just passive users anymore. They're engaged, they're asking how things work, and they're demanding more control over their data and online experiences.
Right. And that's why companies like DeepSeek are so interesting. They're not just building cool tech, they're building tech that reflects what consumers care about. Data security, privacy, and ethical considerations are built in from the beginning, and that appeals to today's savvy consumer.
Almost feels like the power dynamics are shifting. Consumers have more power, and companies have to adapt.
I like that. The tech industry isn't just about making the coolest gadget anymore. It's about building technology that helps people and addresses the challenges we face as a society.
So we've talked about collaboration, ethical tech, and consumer empowerment. Those are some big trends shaping the tech world. But let's zoom in a bit and discuss some specific technologies that are really pushing the boundaries of innovation.
Okay, what are you thinking of?
Well, I've been reading a lot about artificial intelligence, especially in machine learning and natural language processing. It feels like AI is evolving so quickly and becoming part of almost every aspect of our lives.
AI is absolutely one of the most transformative technologies we have. We're seeing breakthroughs in healthcare, finance, transportation, even entertainment. AI helps us solve complex problems, automate things, and create entirely new experiences.
But AI also brings up some ethical worries, right? Like bias in algorithms or the impact on jobs. We touched on this with self-driving cars, but it seems relevant to all of AI.
You're right. As AI gets more powerful and widespread, we need to address these ethical concerns head on. We need to ensure AI is developed and used responsibly for the benefit of everyone.
That's where ethical tech comes in, right? We talked about this earlier, but I'm curious, how can we ensure that AI is developed and used ethically?
It starts with recognizing that technology isn't neutral. It's shaped by the values and biases of the people who create it. So we need diverse teams developing AI, teams that represent the people it will affect. We also need clear ethical guidelines for how AI is developed and used, guidelines that address issues like bias, fairness, transparency, and accountability.
Makes sense. We need to be deliberate about the values we build into technology. But how do we put those values into practice? How do we actually build ethical AI systems?
It's a tough challenge, but there are some approaches being explored. One is to create algorithms that are transparent and explainable, so we can understand how they work and spot potential biases. Another is to use diverse and representative data to train AI, making it less likely to perpetuate existing biases. And of course, we need ethicists and social scientists involved in the design process to ensure ethical considerations are included right from the start.
So it's a multi-pronged approach that involves tech, policy, and social awareness.
Exactly. It's not just about coding, it's about creating a culture of responsibility and awareness of ethical issues within the tech industry and beyond.
AI is a powerful tool with the potential to do a lot of good, but it needs to be used wisely and responsibly. We need to have these conversations about ethics and accountability now before AI becomes so integrated into our lives that it's hard to change course.
Couldn't agree more. We're at a crucial point in AI development, and the choices we make now will have a massive impact on the future. We need to make sure AI is used to help humanity, not to control or exploit it.
That's an important thought. We need to remember that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. We decide how we want to use it.
Well said. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of technology. It's not just up to the tech companies or the engineers. It's up to all of us to demand ethical practices, advocate for responsible use, and ensure that technology serves humanity.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in part 2 of our deep dive. We've talked about collaboration, ethical considerations, consumer empowerment, and the rise of AI. It's been a fascinating journey so far, but there's still so much to explore.
Definitely. The tech world never stands still, and there's always something new to learn and discuss.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the tech world. It's been quite a journey exploring everything from T-Mobile's success story to the ethical dilemmas surrounding Tesla A bold move to create a safer social media platform. It really highlights how technology is rapidly reshaping how we live, work, and connect with each other.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how these different stories, while seemingly separate, are actually connected by these bigger trends like collaboration, consumers having more power, and this increasing demand for ethical technology.
One thing that stood out to me is just how fast innovation is happening. Seems like every day there's a new breakthrough or challenge to deal with.
It's true. The tech industry is always pushing the limits of what's possible, which is both exciting and a little overwhelming. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, as they say.
Ah, yeah, I get that.
Hmm.
But it also emphasizes why it's so important to stay informed and engaged with these developments. We can't just ignore technology and hope it'll magically fix everything. We need to be involved in shaping its future.
Absolutely. We need to be asking tough questions, demanding transparency, and holding these tech companies accountable for the impact they're having. It's not about being anti-technology. It's about making sure it's used for good in a way that benefits everyone.
So what's next? What should we be focusing on in the years to come? What's on your tech radar?
Well, I think AI is going to continue to be a major force driving innovation. We're just starting to see its potential, and I think we'll see even more amazing applications in areas like healthcare, education, and sustainability.
Sounds exciting.
Mm.
But we also need to be aware of the potential downsides of AI, right?
Mm.
We need to make sure it's developed and used in a responsible way.
Absolutely. As AI becomes more powerful and integrated into our lives, the ethical considerations will only become more crucial. We need to ensure AI systems are fair, transparent, and accountable, and that they're designed to work with humans, not replace us altogether.
You know, it's fascinating how the rise of AI is also pushing the need for more advanced computing power and infrastructure. We talked about T-Mobile working with Starlink to expand their network, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. What other developments are happening in computing that are making these AI breakthroughs possible?
Great question. We're seeing amazing advancements in areas like quantum computing and neuromorphic computing, which are actually inspired by the human brain. These technologies have the potential to completely change how we process information and solve complex problems.
It sounds like science fiction is becoming reality. But with all these advancements, there's also growing concern about technology's environmental impact. We're using more energy, generating more data, and producing more electronic waste than ever. How can we ensure that technological progress doesn't destroy the planet?
That's a really important question, and it's something the tech industry is starting to address. We're seeing a bigger focus on sustainable design, energy-efficient hardware, and circular economy models that try to reduce waste and make electronics last longer.
So it's about finding ways to innovate while also minimizing our impact on the environment.
Exactly. It's about understanding that technological progress and sustainability can go hand in hand. We need to find ways to achieve both goals to create a future where technology benefits both humanity and the planet.
Well, it's clear we have a lot to do, but it's also an exciting time to be alive. We're on the verge of a technological revolution that could change our world in incredible ways. But as we embrace these advancements, we need to be thoughtful and responsible, recognizing both the amazing opportunities and the challenges ahead.
I couldn't agree more. It's a time for optimism and caution. We need to be bold in our pursuit of innovation, but also wise in how we manage technology. The future is in our hands, and it's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. You've been listening to Byte-Sized Tech, where we break down the latest tech and gadgets, exploring the exciting innovations and the important questions shaping our digital world. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions. We'll catch you in the next episode.